Wow. Yeah. Well, the biggest one for me is my own son. My youngest son. He is 13 now. But when he was 6, as a father, and with my background in education, along with my wife, we were very active in our son's education. We go to the parents' evening, and are very supportive of the school. When he was 6, he was displaying this behavior that my wife and I didn't understand. We couldn't work out where it was coming from, because he was, displaying this behavior at school, at home, in church, and wherever. And we asked for help from the school. But I started to realize that the school head teacher was almost like investigating us. And the school wasn't providing support. They asked my wife if I beat her up at home. Questions our faith. And the final straw was when he reduced my son's school hours to 1 hour a week. And I remember one day going to collect my son from school. And when I walked into the school, he wasn't at the reception. I asked them where he was and was told he was in the back room. And I walked into that room. It is still hard for me to put into words what I saw happening to my son in that room. That is my own personal experience. We need to educate the head teachers, and we need to educate the governors. We need to educate some people about unconscious bias. I'm sorry, not everybody, but there is racism still. Some are even subtle. And I believe personally, that there is racism in the education system. But we managed to get him out of that school, and 6 years later, he's doing very well in his new school. Yeah. That was my own personal experience. I've seen, and I've heard, and I've interviewed other parents, who have had their own personal experiences in schools, especially if it's black boys. Also from looking at the data that is available out there on these issues, where it relates to black boys that have been permanently excluded from schools.
Yeah, I've been excluded a few times from school. But one of the worst things I guess is being in a maths class or in an English class, and basically I will put up my hand all the time, to ask, or to answer a question, and I'm not included. I don't feel included in that class because I'm not participating and I want to participate. I'm not getting the opportunity to participate because I'm putting up my hand and the teacher is not seeing me, or is seeing me but not allowing me to answer. So, what do I do in that circumstance? And I guess what I have done when I was younger was to go to the teacher at the end of the lesson and just say, I'm putting up my hand and you only acknowledge me when I do something wrong. And when I want to do something right, you're not acknowledging me. And I'm putting up my hand and I want to answer the question. So why are you not acknowledging me? These are just normal examples that happen even today that kids moan about all the time, and I've been through that experience. And this is me just telling you the nice things, I'm keeping it light. So, when I was young, I had a teacher telling me that I was really bad. I had a teacher telling me that I was the worst student in the classroom. This teacher was excluding me every time when it was time to basically give out rewards. I wouldn't get a reward. The teacher wrote in a report about me being the worst person in the classroom, and now because of all that negativity that I had received, I excluded myself. I really wanted to be included. Right? And the teacher excluded me. So, what did I do? I excluded myself. That's what I basically did, because I was being excluded. I wasn't being seen for doing the right things. So basically, I was getting attention for doing the wrong things. So, I just thought, okay, let me continue getting this attention. Then I was sent to the head teacher. Now I've got an issue with coffee. Like I hate coffee now, even now that I am 50 years old. I hate coffee and I've never tasted coffee. Seriously, I'm 50 and coffee is still a big problem. Teachers live on coffee, and because they shouted in my face all the time as I was sent from teacher to teacher and to the head teacher, I've hated coffee ever since. The only place where I was happy was when I was in sports. I was happy playing football, happy doing other things, and that's where I was included, and that's the only time the school wanted to include me is in their football team, because I was good at it. The experience that I've gone through, the primary school and secondary school, and the things that I've seen, and the barriers that I got used to, I can see that young people are going through the same system. Nothing has really changed.
From my past. My experience when I was at school. When I look back now, at my own journey, I wasn't very academic. I was born in the 70s. So, it was a long time ago. I didn't have good grades, I sat for GCSEs several times, and I was only good in art, everything else was kind of a blur. I just wasn't academic at all. In my day, if you are not academic, you're told you will never survive the job market. Hearing this over and over, I took this statement literally when I'm being told that without a degree, I would never amount to anything. It took me years and years to dispel those statements. While it's no longer an issue, it was a serious issue for me in the past. And so, now people look at me, they say, "Oh, you're doing great. And you've got multiple businesses and stuff, but that I created, I got to where I am now out of trauma." It wasn't because I wanted the trauma or feel like I had to prove everyone wrong, but because I wasn't academic. I didn't get a degree. I didn't do really well in my GCSE. So, I felt like I constantly had to fight to be ahead of the game. I'm grateful for it, but at the same time, I noticed that my work ethic is that I don't really rest as much as I could do, because I'm constantly striving to do what people said I couldn't do. I was ostracized because I wasn't doing well in academics.
Growing up, I had a childhood filled with love and laughter. My mom and dad were always there, along with my siblings, creating a home that attracted friends like a magnet. It was a typical household where everyone felt welcome, and I never understood why my friends didn't want to leave. They would say, "We don't know what it's like to have a man in the house," and I realized then that not everyone had the same upbringing as me. Visiting my friends' houses opened my eyes to the struggles many families faced. I expected to find a biscuit cupboard and treats in the freezer, just like at my home. But instead, I discovered empty cupboards and fridges filled with bare necessities. It hit me hard to see my friends living in such challenging conditions. Social services seemed oblivious to their struggles, and it troubled me deeply. In our neighborhood, it was common for mothers to be absent, selling themselves on Brixton Hill while the kids were raised by their grandmothers. Stealing school uniforms from Woolworths became our norm, a survival tactic for many. I remember saving up my pocket money and secretly using it to buy groceries for my friends, who relied on theft to feed themselves. It was an early lesson in budgeting for me, but for them, it meant survival. Those experiences shaped my path, and as I grew older, I knew I wanted to give back in a big way. Despite my dyslexia, which made reading and writing a constant challenge, I refused to let it stop me from following my passion for helping others. The journey wasn't easy, and I missed out on many opportunities because of my difficulties, but my compassion for humanity remained unwavering. Creating the Soup Kitchen became my purpose. I wanted to support local organizations and make a real difference in people's lives. I understood the struggles of small charities, often overshadowed by bigger ones. They needed funding and recognition to continue their vital work. Through the Soup Kitchen, I aimed to provide food, support, and resources to those in need. particularly focusing on homelessness and the complex needs that came with it. It was deeply rewarding to see the impact we made. I went back to schools, teaching teachers about the struggles of kids like me, who were often misunderstood and overlooked. I wanted to break the stigma surrounding homelessness, especially for women, who faced even more significant challenges and hardships. We advocated for free sanitary care and worked tirelessly to address the underlying mental health issues that often led to homelessness. Receiving my degree in law, despite not having any GCSEs, was one of the proudest moments of my life. It symbolized my determination to overcome obstacles and create change. But my true satisfaction came from the smiles on people's faces when they received a warm meal or a helping hand at the soup kitchen. The journey continues, as we strive to support and include more individuals, relying on volunteers and the kindness of others. We also leave food packs in telephone boxes for those too embarrassed to come to the soup kitchen, ensuring that everyone is included. I believe in the power of local support and the importance of driving equality, social justice, and ensuring that all people belong, particularly young people, to promote an inclusive society.